Hey yo, it's Vondo, and the most controversial and contested topics are circulating around this community once again, and that is skill-based matchmaking, aka SBMM, and OG quality content creator Hutch had a controversial take on Twitter, and I'll read it out. So, taps mic, clear throat. Actually, skill-based matchmaking is a good thing, and people who hate the most are mostly content creators looking for easy gameplays. Runs away. He had a follow-up tweet. When people say I just want to play this way I can show it my friends and not sweat, what they actually saying is I want to play this with my friends and I can mercilessly and brutally shit on terrible players for hours on end. That is 100% what they mean. LOL. So those were both his tweets, and I'm not going to lie and act like there isn't, some truth in both of them, because there is when it comes to the first tweet, when it comes to content creators looking for easy gameplays. Back in the old matchmaking, if you were the best player in a session and players just did not feel like leaving, even though they were really getting, curb stomped in a lot of matches, yeah, you could farm out gameplays on them. It was really that simple. And when it comes to parties playing in these playlists and they don't want to sweat, some of them do just want to roll over teams for a couple hours whenever they're on. But other parties, they do have varying skill levels, so the matchmaking, pulling in one player's direction or skill level because they're very skilled and they're not, it can lead to things getting hairy. So there's some truth to it in both tweets. But yeah, do I think he's wrong? I do, and it is a bit hypocritical for him, to care about protecting new players now, because back in the day in Black Ops 1 he would play against bad players and he would curb stomp them with his teammates in his party. He wouldn't leave out the lobby. He would just do it again if they decide to stay. So it is, a bit hypocritical for him to change his tune and inflict his stance now. And what we're not going to do is that blowouts aren't fun. Yeah, it sucks when you're on the receiving end of the blowout. But if you played sports, you played these games, it just comes with the territory. Like, you're gonna have a really good match and a really bad match. You're gonna blow some people out and you're gonna get blown out. It's really that simple. And the matchmaking can try to reduce it, but they'll never be able to prevent it, because even when these guys make sports analogies when it comes to varsity and JV, which is not even the right way to do this, because at the highest level, professionals against other professionals, the best professionals against other professionals, there are still blowouts. Like, I know everyone loves the 2016 NBA Finals, I do too, but the average margin of victory for those games was around 17 points. There was only 2 competitive games in that series. Game 7, I believe, Game 5. Because while the score was closer in Game 6, Draymond didn't play. So that wasn't, a very fair, even match for Golden State. I mean, that Draymond's one of their better players, one of their best players, and he wasn't there that game. So you get what I'm saying with the blowouts, how they happen at every level. So in these games, it doesn't really shock me at all. And again, the Cleveland Browns went 0-16 one year. The Detroit Lions went 0-16 one year. The Cleveland Browns went 1-15 before they went 0-16 one year. So even at the highest level, there are large gaps in skill. But our next topic, and the two things I wish were discussed a lot more with skill-based matchmaking, because it's always the skill level of your competition, but not the back-end effects of the matchmaking, and why it just doesn't work in Call of Duty, but it works well for other games like Rainbow Six and Rocket League. When it comes to the back-end effects of the matchmaking, you have longer queue times, higher ping, and that's due to you having a smaller player population pool. That's because the matchmaking is prioritizing skill over connection, and this only gets worse as the game ages and less people keep playing it. But like in the less populated game modes, you got some really unbalanced teams, you got really long queue times, or it's just a really bad connection. But the main thing, the main thing is why it doesn't work in Call of Duty, but it works in other games. And just straight up, other games are fun by you just winning the game and your team doing well. But Call of Duty is a more individual based game. Like, am I doing well? If the answer is yes, then I am having fun. Am I not doing well and my team is winning? Well, I'm not having fun because I'm not doing well. And yeah, how you know this game rewards individual play is kill streaks. It's the fundamental design of this game. And with skill-based matchmaking, with you playing against, similarly skilled players, that just means you're gonna get kill streaks less often because, they're the same skill level. And getting kill streaks less often, that means you're having less fun, because doing well and getting kill streaks or having fun in Call of Duty. Now, I am conflating the two because I do believe for most players, that's what's fun for them. And I said most. Other players enjoy the camo grind, unlocking stuff. Some players really just enjoy getting the win by playing the objective. But I think the majority of the player base really likes getting kill streaks and doing well in the game. I think that's what they consider having fun. So that's why skill-based matchmaking isn't received well in this community, but it is received well in other communities. Because again, other games are more team and goal oriented, while Call of Duty is individual oriented. It's all about you doing well, not the team per se. And I also believe another factor is these other games just have, larger skill gaps. Rocket League is the perfect example of this because the skill gap between a bronze player and a champ player is vast. And what I mean, when it comes to just simply scoring, bronze players are still relying on getting all their shots like on the ground. Most people can't aerial yet. If they do, they're not very good at it. But when it comes to champ players, they can incorporate the walls, the flicks, the ceiling shots, air dribbles, etc. And that's why it's just not a fun experience, because one, the game isn't competitive. Both players are playing at a very different speed, and it's just an unbalanced mess of a match. And now let's talk about the effectiveness of skill-based matchmaking. I really don't think it's that high for Call of Duty, but it's high enough for them to justify using. Because even a minuscule number like 2%, if it's improving player retention by 2% compared to random matchmaking, then they're going to use it. So when you're dealing with millions upon hundreds of thousands of players, you're dealing with millions upon hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you could get those players to play just a little bit longer, if even just only 2% of them, then it's worth it for Activision. And that's why they're using it. There's multiple ways to get around the matchmaking, like reverse boosting, like session joining, and like having dummy accounts, so on and so on. And they've done things to try to mitigate these workarounds, like if you accidentally killed yourself with equipment in Modern Warfare in a game mode like Hardpoint Domination, there would be a big spawn delay. But if you just went out there and died, the normal way, then guess what? There's no spawn delay. And they kept players from joining, recent players after a match. You gotta wait like a couple of minutes. But after that, if they're still playing, they'll most likely be in a match and already be filled by then. So they've done things to combat getting around the matchmaking. But do I think it's not effective? No, but it is effective enough for them just by using it. And the very last thing we'll talk about, I'm gonna need members of the community to stop lying that they don't want to pub stomp. But they can't say they want to pub stomp and do that, effortlessly. Like, oh, I'm playing a podcast in the background, I'm doing a bunch of other stuff, not really concentrating on the game, and I want to do really well. Or I just want to go home and after a nice long day of work, have a couple of beers and play the game and not sweat, or just do well. Like, I don't know where you're gonna get at when it comes to effortlessly pub stomping the opposition without even trying. Like, you got to be playing against really lower skilled opponents to do that. And when you're saying stuff like I want to listen to podcasts or drink some beers and play well, it's just not gonna land right. It never does. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to pub stomp, but you gotta put a little bit of effort in to do it. Like, I'm not saying to use the best stuff, but you gotta put a little bit of effort to do it. But with that out the way, ladies and gentlemen, y'all stay safe, and I'm out.